At this point, we all know the major numbers surrounding India's T20 World Cup win. The first World Cup victory in 13 years, first ICC tournament victory in 11 years, 4,000 plus days of pain done and dusted at long last. But there is several more interesting numbers that have been around this particular T20 World Cup victory that India have managed to script, and it was in fact an incredible one, given that going into the tournament there was a lot of skepticism as to whether or not India had the right team combinations, the right approach to actually go the distance in the T20 format. They've answered all those doubts in emphatic fashion, and in doing so actually notched up a little bit of history along the way, both as a team and thanks to some certain key individuals. First off, it's worth noting that India have now actually got a rather interesting record of having the joint most number of wins in one edition of the T20 World Cup. In fact, if you look at the stats in front of you, India and South Africa both of course have had 8 wins in this edition of the tournament. India had that one washout game which would have actually put them one ahead. But even besides that, they go ahead of 2 other teams. You've got Sri Lanka, who in 2009 won 6 games on the trot. Then of course you've got Australia, who in 2010 also won 6 games, but in 2021 won the same number of games to ensure that they would actually lift the title. But for India, it is the most number of wins in one edition of the T20 World Cup, joint most with South Africa. Of course, India's will mean a lot more given that they ended up winning the title. But them winning the title also put them in some rather illustrious company. Why? Because they are now the 3rd team to have won 2 T20 World Cups. Yes, such is the nature of the T20 World Cup as a whole, that you don't really have not just back-to-back winners, but you also don't have too many multi-time winners. See, you've got West Indies, who were the first team to do it. They won it in 2012 and 2016. Thereafter, you've had England, who became the 2nd team to do it. Their first came in 2010 and their second came all the way later in 2022. And now India are the 3rd team to get there. Why? Because they won the inaugural edition in 2007 and then of course 2024 the 2nd title. Notably, both India have perhaps the longest gap when it comes to the first win to the 2nd, because again, England had 12 years. India, on the other hand, have far more. You've got nearly 15 years, if I'm not mistaken, if the math works out right. So it's, these many years in the difference. West Indies came closest. Again, 2012, 2016, just 4 years, and they were 2-time world champions. But one of the reasons India were able to do so well in this particular World Cup is, of course, the human cheat code known as Jasprit Bumrah. The man who won the player of the tournament also ended up notching up a rather interesting record in the process. What is that? Well, he's now had the best economy in one single edition of the T20 World Cup. Because if you go through the historical stats here, Bumrah is higher than anyone else on the record. Before this, you had Sunil Narine, who had an economy of 4.6 in the 2014 edition of the T20 World Cup. Then in 2021, you had a Wanindu Hasaranga, who bowled an economy of 5.20, and after that, Shahid Afridi, who had an economy of 5.32, was extremely economical in the 2009 World Cup. But look at Jasprit Bumrah beyond that, 4.17. That is phenomenal. At a time when you are used to seeing bowlers go for 7-8 runs and over as the bare minimum, to be bowling at an economy of 4.17, absolutely amazing. No two ways about it. And these are what we thought were some of the best stats to emerge from this edition of the T20 World Cup. You can let us know if you found some more interesting ones, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon, follow us also on social media. We're on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Don't forget to download the Sportsbook app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well. For now though, from my side, it's goodbye.